Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is Tuesday, February 23rd, and we're going to deviate a little off our normal way we do things over here. It's going to be a little more ad hoc. There's a lot going on in the market. Obviously, everyone experienced what happened yesterday. It hasn't completely settled. It's dismal, to be honest with you, and we're gonna let you know how dismal it is, like how really bad it is, but then we're gonna show you what the good is in it that we see. So we're gonna just kind of parts of today's episode are going to be some free talk. A lot of us have a lot of different things that we're figuring out, and things are coming at us as we're even speaking right now. So just wanted to warn you. Other than that, I'm going to take it directly to Ryan to cover the beginning of this so we can dump. There you go. I can't even speak right. So we can dive right into this. Go ahead, Ryan. Thanks, man.
First, I'll dump this legalese on you. This is just a reminder that all content provided by Trade the Chain is strictly for educational and informational purposes only. As the markets have shown today, none of this is investment advice, and you should absolutely not listen to us. Don't.
Ever.
Trade the Chain is brought to you by Trade the Chain, a global 24/7 community of traders of all ages and all abilities using AI-driven sentiment indicators and actionable alerts to help them beat the market and trade like a crypto insider. TradeTheChain.com gives you a 14-day trial. Check it out.
And let's see what we got here. Looking at the 1 hour coin screener. That's pretty interesting. I'd expect things to be a lot more bearish on the shorter term timeframes, but
Hourly.
evidently we might be bottoming here. I don't know. We'll get into that in just a moment with the charts. But moving over to marketrebellion.com/crypto. This is Monty and I in our community, and with us you get exclusive trade ideas, our macro portfolio allocations, a pro charting platform, a trading education curriculum, and an elite community of traders all throughout the world, and much more. If you're serious about trading crypto, this is the service that gives you everything you need all in one place. You can start your first month trial for just $1 at marketrebellion.com/crypto. So we appreciate that, guys. Starting off here, let's check out the S&P, traditional markets, because we're seeing a pretty drastic sell-off after reaching this TD sell 9 here last week on February 12th. This has evidently bled into the cryptocurrency market slightly. I think Ryan will elaborate on that a little bit as we get further into the episode, but just thought I'd share that to start off. Also, if we look at some of our blockchain related stocks, Riot, Mara, MicroStrategy, and Silvergate, all down over 20% today. So quite a down move. Same type of thing in Bitcoin as well. But I want to draw your guys' attention to our last little decrease, and this is when I really called for that 26, 28K level, the honey hole, so to speak. But we never got that. We never got that because the pullback just wasn't as drastic. It wasn't 30 to 35%. It was more in the realm of 20%, 25% actually. But if you see in our last down move here, you can see that, look at the Williams alligator. We have beautiful parallel moving averages on the Williams alligator until we finally get that massive crash. That's where you get the compression in the moving averages, and then they finally turn over. Now, what we typically see after that, or what we did see in our previous run, is we reached a TD buy 9 on the 1 hour or on the 4 hour chart. And really, we did test this 30K level multiple times, but we never went below that initial TD buy 9. After that, we got a little bit of a rebound back into the previous resistance levels. And, we have to, typically the trend needs to consolidate at the resistance here of the Williams alligator before we can truly resume that bullish price action. So the reason why I'm showing this in our previous breakdown is because it looks extremely similar to what we're seeing now. Previously we had all of the 3 moving averages from the Keltner channels parallel. Ever since we fell and we formed TD supports, or we formed support after reaching the TD buy 9 at, what do you know? It's our 40K or our 45K Fibonacci support level. So a beautiful confluence hitting that 45K level and bouncing off for now. So don't get me wrong. I think we're in for 2 or 3 more weeks of some pain in like downward sideways price consolidation like this. But our Fibonacci level is holding strong. And it's also in confluence with that TD buy 9 on the 4-hour. So I'm going to be looking for this 45 level to hold just as this 30K level held in our previous market rally. So yeah, you know, we might be in for some pain over the next couple of weeks, but overall, yeah, I'm still bullish on this space. I still believe we're in a bull market. And so the way I look at this is kind of like, you know, going to Best Buy or Amazon or whatever, just going and shopping for your favorite goods when they're, you know, 20% off. So that's my view.
The Red Tuesday sale.
Monty is just sitting there so happy. He's like, oh my God, I told you. I told you
No,
guys.
no, that's not true. I'm not happy. I mean, I'm definitely excited. I mean, I get paid on Friday, and the market is looking like it might still be down on Friday, so that means some nice USD right into this market. But yeah, I think CJ really hit on all the major points there, and I just want to quickly go back to what a level I was mentioning yesterday, and that's this 47K level. This is extrapolated from the 4-hour chart, and I think the 4-hour chart has a lot of merit going forward. Like CJ pointed out, this is a very strong bottom here. We actually broke below the support level I highlighted. We formed this new TD setup support at 44.9K. This is critical going forward. I'm watching this. If I'm going to enter long, I'm going to set a stop loss just below this level, because a break below this level I think would be indicative of further bearish price action. But that's, for me, that's exactly what I look for when I'm entering a long trade, is clear levels above and below that are indicative of breakouts. So I would feel comfortable entering a long trade right now, because like CJ said, although we're in a kind of we're going to be in this period of bearish to neutral consolidation, there are going to be some upswings during that consolidation. We're not just going to hover around this level the entire time. But for me, that's like the perfect safety net to enter a long trade, is this level right here. But yeah, as you can see, we kind of are actually somewhat holding steady around this 47K support level from this previous setup 9. So I do anticipate some consolidation. You can see volume has really kind of picked up as we bottomed out here, kind of implying that buy pressure below 45K is pretty strong. And that doesn't surprise me based on the price action we've seen the last couple of weeks. 45K seems like a great buy. And one last thing I'll mention that I'm watching closely as to when we may kind of break out of this bearish to neutral consolidation is the sentiment. Because as we've seen, this is a market that, although it's kind of anchored by the institutions, a lot of the price action that we're seeing in the interim is dictated by the retail trader. So I'm watching this daily sentiment score very carefully. And as soon as this breaks back into neutral, I think that will be very bearish for the overall case for Bitcoin. And I think that would be indicative that a lot of the sell orders are kind of shaken out of the market here, and that the buy pressure will take over. So I'm watching for these numbers to get above 50. But in the meantime, I think we'll be kind of hovering around this level, like CJ pointed out.
So I'm wondering, let's say the support doesn't hold at that Fibonacci level. CJ, sentiment is, it says neutral, you know, long term, but right now the daily sentiment. There we go. is very bearish, and there's no stopping it from going bearish for another day or 2 days or 3 days and grinding lower. What do you think the next support level is if we burst through, say, 45K, go down to 40?
So yeah, that was kind of the next part I was going to elaborate on, but I didn't want to take too much time at the beginning away from Monty and everyone else. But what I have here highlighted is that we've gone down approximately 23%, right? And just for sake of curiosity, let's see how far our last kind of pullback occurred. All right, so our last pullback was approximately 30%, so slightly larger than what we've done thus far. And Peter Brandt was posting about this, about potential levels if we do in fact retrace. I think the level at 40K you mentioned, Ryan, is definitely a nice round number. I don't expect to go below 38 or 37K at the very least, or excuse me, at the very worst. I don't expect to go below 37 or 38. As you can see, that would be pretty similar of a correction to what we had previously. And so on our way up in 2017, we had approximately 5 or 6 corrections of about 30%. We had one here in the start of our bull market this time around, and we're close to another one. So if that 45 level doesn't hold, I'll definitely be looking at 38K here. Let me draw a nice support level here for you guys. And then boom, yeah, it lines up right with our previous candle body closes from the previous uptrend. So those are the levels I'm looking at.
What's the distance between our all-time high and that support, and then that support to 15.5? Just curious.
You really want me to do it?
No, I don't. We're never going to see 15.5.
All we need is about a 90% correction, right?
Famous last words.
Yeah, that's true.
Janet Yellen coming out yesterday and saying that Bitcoin is highly inefficient. It actually fueled into this rally and poured more gasoline on the fire. But then you have the Tether Bitfinex settlement being announced, where Tether and Bitfinex can no longer operate or be used by New York residents. That kind of fueled a rebound to an extent before we retraced even from that rebound. Which camp do you think right now, I guess, is stronger in momentum, given how the market is just kind of is flip-flopping from story to story in the immediate term? Like, do you think that any news can send us positive today, or do you think we're more likely to be sent negative on news?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the answer to that comes down to the fact that we've seen such extended bullish price action in the last few weeks. I think it's a lot easier for news to come out and drive the market down, just because a lot of the technicals are overbought. It's very euphoric and kind of manic. So I think, although we've seen news drive price up, like when Tesla bought Bitcoin, I don't see right now that any company is going to kind of catch the falling knife and buy right now. But I do think that towards the end of this consolidation period, when we're getting when the daily sentiment is starting to become more positive, as this news with Janet Yellen starts to fade and Elon's tweet comments start to fade a little bit, then I could see maybe some an injection of news really being that catalyst to propel us to new highs. But in the meantime, I think it's much more likely that news is going to be a negative catalyst.
The equity market being down is definitely not helping either.
No.
Pretty big factor.
Let me, if I could go on my rant for a few minutes, folks. I just want to feed off of this news thing that Ryan and Monty are talking about. You have, first, let me just pull up Google. Okay, this is what people who are new or not so into cryptocurrency rate the cryptocurrency market. And you go here and you see Elon Musk loses $15 billion in a single day because of his own tweets. Bitcoin tanks 10% after Elon Musk's tweets. It seems high. Bitcoin plunges 18%. Investors grow weary. Then, of course, what do we have? We have all the favorites coming out of the woodwork whenever we get a correction. Nouriel Roubini, Bitcoin's not a hedge against inflation. Investors are feeding the bubble. Where was he when it was going from 15.5 to 58,000? This one, great, love this. Check this out. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Janet Yellen are basically responsible for Bitcoin tumbling. This is great. One of the things I do want to go back with what CJ said in the beginning, and here's an article in Market Watch. So this has to do with ARK Investments, who has publicly traded funds around that has a basket of various stocks. And this is where this gets systemic. This is where I have a problem with companies like MicroStrategies and now Tesla, where they become synthetic ETFs for Bitcoin. Here you have Tesla so wrapped up into Bitcoin that it actually sends, a traditional investment fund down over 6% because of its Bitcoin exposure, right? So I find it very interesting about the tangled webs that we're beginning to weave with the traditional markets. But yeah, and then the amount of influence that people have to move it, like Elon. My last portion is going to be what's good. Now,
One thing, Alex.
What's
one
that?
Thing, not to interrupt you, but one
Yeah.
thing before we get into that. ARK Invest is also the only ETF provider to invest in Bitcoin in a publicly traded fund. So not only do they have exposure to Tesla as their largest holding across, I think, all of their funds, they also have significant allocations to GBTC. So
Yes.
that just further exacerbates the risk that they're tangled up in, I guess. The risk, as Barbara Kohlmeyer says in that article.
It's really funny you bring this up because we've had a coworker talking about this all week and comparing it to the South Sea bubble. Because all of these companies are like, they were buying the stock of one company and ruining their, so-called diversification in the market. This is kind of a similar thing, especially with Saylor now taking out loans to get even more Bitcoin for his company.
This is, oh my gosh, hold on a second. I just got to go back to the full screen here. This is like what you just said, CJ, are like all the people who got blown out of BitMEX, levered up 100 times on borrows back in March. What's going to happen? What is when things, you go through these periods, these companies, I think they're the same as regular retail people who FOMO. I don't know. Now you have CEOs who are FOMOing into the market.
Funny enough, you mentioned that because when you look at two exchanges that I work with, right, one's institutional, one's retail. LMAX Group, I just saw a note that was passed to us. They had $4 billion worth of trading volumes. That's an all-time record, and they're strictly institutional. That's staggering. Their previous record, I think, was 3.8. So they surpassed it by a little bit, but it's their biggest trading volume day ever. And then you have eToro, where you have new Bitcoin positions versus those closed over the last week. Just the last week, they're up 26%. So okay. You have people going into the market from all angles, institutional and retail, and it is becoming systemic, Alex, as you're pointing out.
And that brings on a whole nother, I told you folks, this is going to be off the cuff programming right here. And that brings off another thing I want to say, Ryan. That was perfect because remember, guys, the house always wins. To Ryan's point, we had crazy volatility the last 24, 36 hours, a lot of people losing money, a bunch of people getting wrecked. I'm head of institutional services for a large crypto prime broker. And I will tell you that all my institutional clients this morning made tons of money off of all of what Ryan was just talking about, which is people coming into the market on all levels and transacting. So they may be losing money, but the house is winning. And that's how it works. One thing I do want to just end my little spot on a bright note or a positive note as can be, and that is it is a good time to buy. Like CJ's point earlier in the show, I'm there standing online in the street waiting for my paycheck because I will tell you right now, when that happens, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. Let's go down to what the sale aisle at the supermarket looks like right now.
You know what this reminds me of, Alex? Remember Crazy Eddie?
Yes. Oh, yeah. God.
The prices are so low, you'll think I'm crazy,
If anybody's old enough to remember Crazy Eddie commercials in the New York tri-state area, the guy he outdid any of these freaking YouTube thumbnails that we see. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, he was the man. I loved his commercials.
I'm putting Monty or I know what the hell you guys are talking about.
Oh, Crazy Eddie Antar, the guy's the man, and then he fled to Israel on tax evasion charges. But he had a good shtick late night on late night TV commercials.
Oh my God. All right. So as we cruise the bargain aisle at the supermarket, here's a couple things I'm keeping my eye out as far as buying. One is I'm definitely going to increase my position in VGX. Okay. I like the price points out now. I think there's a lot more room to grow in it. Ave. Ave is down considerably from its $500 mark it was at before. I like the team. I like the project. I'm going to keep an eye out on Ave, and now it looks a little bit more affordable. Here's one that didn't even care about the bloodbath.
Nope.
Solana. SOL didn't care. It just said it pushed it aside, kind of like CJ pushes me aside when we see each other in the hallway. Just boom, kept going. Couple other things on sale real quick. We got I do like I always want to think that's tomato coin right there, Tomo chain. Rob has that in my head. I like Curve at $2 is interesting to me. That's another one. Polkadot is interesting as well. I think it's taken a little price off its top, so it looks good. Serum is another one that really just blew this dump aside. And skyrocketed. It's a little market neutral right now, as you can see from the one hour. A lot of people made money on Dent lately. I'd like to see it go down a little more. And then lastly, before I take up all the time, let's see. Dun, dun, dun. UMA. I'd like UMA to get back down into the teens. I think UMA is a good one. It's definitely has a place in my portfolio, but those are just a few of my picks. ADA as well. What about you guys?
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. This morning I took the opportunity to dumpster dive for some ETH, for some Stormex, and for
Stormex.
Yeah. So I scooped up some more of all three and seeing how that works out for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I do want to make a point about Stormex because it's so low in terms of market cap, and it's highly volatile. So this 20% sell-off, even higher than that, 25, maybe even 30 at certain points. It's not that surprising, seeing that this is such a high beta asset. It's going to perform like that when the market is down, but when it's up, we can expect assets like Snormax to actually outperform Bitcoin and the rest of the market due to that high beta, low liquidity, and low market cap. And one thing I want to add to your point about VGX, Alex, and picking it up is that, I've said this before, but one of the things that I love to look for and I love to see is when the market is selling off and there's still certain assets that are holding their own. Because typically when they reverse and the market goes into a bullish standpoint, they are the strongest leading assets. And so the chart I have up here is Bitcoin, Voyager compared to Bitcoin. And so if you just look at the watch list over here on the right side and what I've got, literally, Voyager is outperforming Bitcoin by 3%. It's one of the only ones on my watch list that is even green. So pretty noteworthy. And like I said, I like to look for the resilient assets in the middle of a sell-off like this. So pretty promising to see nonetheless.
I do want to just say that the way Stormex sits right now, it's like a package sale. $8,000 gets you 1 million Stormex tokens. It's perfectly priced. You could be a Stormex millionaire.
Too rich for my blood.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a good time to buy. Buy that dip.
We may have a Stormex surprise for you guys later this week, so stay tuned. Probably have more to talk about there.
CJ with the teaser of all teasers.
Wow, he's just leaking info right now. That's
I own no Stormex too, just to be clear. I have no allocation to Stormex at the current point.
I own Stormex. I'm a Stormex holder. Recently, I will say I am actually down with the current price, so it is one of my top picks to load up on payday with and whatnot. But yeah, to CJ's point, we do have a surprise coming out shortly regarding Stormex. But what else we got? Is that it? Are we out of breath?
I'm out of breath.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. We covered a lot.
Hey,
We
thank
did.
you, folks. Thank you, folks.
Everybody, thank you for joining us today. Just remember to hit those bargain aisles at the supermarket for everything that you wish you had more of. Yes, let me just say this, dude. Everybody I see in their communities and everything else, they all talk about when the price is high, how they wish they had more at this price.
Hmm?
How's your chance?
Get it?
Put your
Hit
money
it.
where your mouth is, people. It's time. Time to buy.
Get it?
Last little tangent here before we close things up. Did you
Sure.
see the exchange between Peter Schiff and Elon Musk? If you haven't, look it up on Twitter. It's pretty amusing. I think you'll be entertained by it.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, it's great. It's laugh out loud funny.
That's classic. All right, guys, hang on to your handlebars. Happy trading. Don't be glum. Don't be down. This is bargain time. Buy some up. Complete that portfolio you dreamed of, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bingo.